And every single thing that this person said was like, bro, like I could turn it into a series of tweets, every single thing that he said. Like everything was like bang, bang, impact. I was like, and for me, I think I had some bad experiences around people who were managers or leads. I could never look up to them. But this guy felt like, fuck, like इसका अगर मैं लाइफ में 1% भी बन गया तो कुछ तो मस्त बन जाऊंगा.
Hey, welcome Atul. Welcome to the podcast.
I saw that. Thank
करना
you.
पड़ता है भाई.
Thank you so much for having me.
How are you doing?
Doing great. Just came from a workout, so feeling a bit energized.
Yeah, you won't believe I was wearing also the sleeveless thing, but I then wore this full t-shirt. I was like, नहीं compete करना है यहाँ पे.
अरे
Let's not go to the topics like जहाँ पे हम हारेंगे. But cool setup you got there. Love the neon sign. What does it say?
It's something that we came up after design room.
Design drag. We'll talk about design drag also later in the podcast. But before we start, I see that you have Big Boss in your house.
That's they gave it as a free thing with this, so I had to put it somewhere. But I do get this a lot. It's like a big boss thing, but I don't watch big boss.
Yeah, सुबह के 9 बजे. Cool. Let's start with the first question and the main question of this podcast. How did you become a designer?
So once upon a time, yeah, it's gonna be that kind of story. Uh, yeah, and by the way, I had Rahul's permission to make it long ass, so I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna tell you all the bits and pieces of how it came together. But yeah, I think ever since I was a kid, I think I was one of those guys who would. I think before summer vacations, you always got like a lot of written homework, and then you also get these chart wala homework. So normally all the parents would suggest that, make the charts around the end of the holidays, otherwise they'll get fucked up during this whole 50 days break. But that was the most exciting part that used to excite me, that, I'm going to work on this chart wala thing. So I would like pick that first. And the written homework usually never got over on time. So I used to get like a lot of scoldings for that. But yeah, I think I've always been that kid who will be super happy doing the art class and everything. Studies really never connected with me in a great way. But it was something that you see 40 people around you doing it every single day. So you just like doing that. And yeah, it continued over till 10th. And I think then somehow me and my parents thought, I think I was I was single kid for the most of my life. I have a younger sister, Amisha, who's like 9 years younger to me. So I had like a lot of helicoptering that was done on me as a kid. So I think around class 10th, they came up with the discussion that, what, you're decently good at studies. I would be like not top 3, I'll be in like top 10 somewhere. So they're like, why don't you try for IIT in Kota? And I was like, what's Kota? Then they told me the concept of it. Then I was like, so the only thing that clicked with me is that I get to stay alone without anyone kind of, helicoptering my thing. So I was like, sounds good, let's go for it. And then I was excited about it. So I think, yeah, I went there. But I think when you take away the leash of a dog for the first time, it's going to run. And it's going to run like crazy. So I think without any, adult guidance, being left alone in a city which is full of just kids, I think I ran and I just enjoyed the freedom for the first time. To a point that I realized that, wait a second, like Kota is a hardcore city with students, cream of the cream, got together in this one space and they study like from morning 5 to 9, 11 p.m. or something. And I was not that person because I never felt that way about studies. So I wanted to imagine, like, one of those days after school when you're a kid, 5th, 6th, you come back and then you say like, oh, I'm going to watch TV, I'll do homework later. And then it's evening, your friends are playing outside, so you go like, oh, you know what? I'll go play outside now, I'll do my homework later. And at night, you're again eating, watching TV, and then you're like, fuck it, I'm going to sleep. So that is what 2 years of my life went, 11th and 12th. Till a point I realized that, fuck, I have really screwed this up. Let alone IIT, 11th, 12th के लाले लग चुके हैं, कुछ नहीं पता, कोई base नहीं है. And the parents have no clue about this. They're like, हाँ पढ़ रहा है, कुछ तो मचा ही रहा होगा. And yeah, none of that was there. So I came back home. We all addressed the reality that, fuck, this is bad. And I think until that point in time, everyone was just studying, like, school से पढ़ाई की, homework किया, अगले दिन वापस चले गए. We never really thought कि ये 12 साल का journey of schooling is supposed to land you somewhere. and people will ask you, okay, what do you want to be? With all the limited knowledge that you have, you'll go like engineer, doctor, lawyer, or some sort of that shit. But I realized that none of this thing really appealed to me. And so I had this best friend Anuj, and this guy is son of an architect, civil engineer brother, and he knew what he wanted to be. So he goes like, bro, pata hai kya? मेरा बचपन से सपना था, I want to be an architect, and I'm going to study towards that. Engineering नहीं करनी मुझे, and I'm going to take some classes for it. And then there's me without any direction, no hope, with no childhood dreams. I'm like, I like your dream. I'm also going to be an architect. So yeah, I think my parents were like, okay, dude, iska 11, 12 to hone nahi wala. And I still remember at one point they were discussing this thing that isko shayad baith ke khilana padega. And yeah, that's like a lot of pressurizing conversation that you overhear and you're like, shit, this is screwed. But I think I kind of realized that I can't do much about this other part. But this architecture thing was something, as someone who was really into art as a kid, I was like, I like this space. So yeah, I think I went out and me and my friends, we kind of studied architecture, perspective and everything. And there's this exam in North India called NATA that gets you admission into private colleges if you clear this exam. It's like a unified exam for architecture. And I studied for it. I liked it. It was fun. I think after a long time, I found something that was actually fun doing. And yeah, I cracked that exam. I think I topped North India in that exam. But while this thing was sorted, 11th and 12th was still fucked up. Like, I'm not even kidding, I barely passed. Like, my parents were like, fuck, सब लोग पूजा वूजा कर रहे हैं बैठ के, full North India वाला चल रहा है कि भाई बस पास करा दो इसे.
Atul, before you continue, where you from, like area-wise?
So, ethnically, I'm a Haryanvi. Yeah, mom and dad both rural Haryana, full hardcore stuff. Okay. But my dad was in Navy, so I'm born in Goa, brought up all over coastal India like Andaman, Vizag, Cochin, all these places. Haven't stayed there a lot in Haryana, but yeah, genes Haryani, but rest of the
Yeah,
upbringing
but
is-
now people have the context of how the parents were, like how the scene of the house were.
Oh yeah. So I still remember like we would be like going on these strolls inside the Navy Nagar in Goa, and every time my mom would meet one of her Haryanvi friends, she'll get the joy of a few minutes of talking in Haryanvi. She'll like really kill for it. But yeah, it was fun. I think they settled in Gurgaon now. They wanted to stay close to their roots. They're like, we're done moving this every 2 years here and there. Like, cool. Not so much fond of that place, but yeah, that's where the family settled right now. So yeah, I think all of that was going on. I somehow barely passed. But during this whole NATA thing, I think the teacher who was helping us study for this architecture, he was like, there is this another exam called NIFT. Same subject है, सब कुछ same ही आता है, ये भी दे देना. I was like, okay.
Secondary option.
ऑप्शन भी नहीं, यूजुअली एग्जाम में दे देना. लाइक हाँ ठीक है. उसने एनआईडी भी ऐसे ही बोला था, वो भी दिया था, उसमें हुआ नहीं. बट निफ्ट का एग्जाम दिया एंड फिर उसमें भी आई थिंक वी गॉट गुड रैंक. सो आई वेंट अहेड एंड आई थिंक देन आई गॉट फैशन कम्युनिकेशन इन मुंबई. That was like it was like hard to get Mumbai as a city and FC as a branch. And my only rationale was everything else involves Sui and Dhaga. I'm like, this is not, even though my mom is great at it, I think I never picked up this kit. Didn't even have the interest. I was like, ye sab nahi samajh mein aa raha. But FC was one branch which had this subject called GD.
GD.
So in my mind, and because I'm so lazy at reading and everything, I'm like, GD is game design. So I'm like, I love on phone, so I'll make one. It's going to be so much fun. And it's one of the 11 subjects, by the way, but optimism life में इतना है कि हाँ, I think this is it. यहाँ जाएंगे. Plus, NATA gives you access to private colleges, and NIFT is all about government colleges. So I was like, you know what, much more stable. It's not going to be too heavy on the pockets. But it was a joke because they still charge like private colleges. So yeah, I think with that little knowledge and whatever research I still suck at, went to NIFT Bombay. And the day first, I get to know that GD doesn't stand for game design, it stands for graphic design. I'm like, oh crap, the one thing that gets me to cities, like imagine the biggest decision of your life at that stage was done with this small research that I couldn't even understand that GD could stand for something else than game design. So I'm like,
and you went alone because Anuj went for architecture. तो वो तो अलग ही.
Architecture, so I'm there alone. Another friend of mine, Mithul. So we are like 4, 5 really best friends. So I think he went to NIFT Kangra. He again FC for that. So I'm in Mumbai and I'm like, okay. And I didn't realize that even though I belong to FC, the first year of any colleges are on foundation design. So they make you
Correct.
do everything.
Everything.
Yeah. So then वहाँ बैठ के, there is this KD and stuff where you have to उनके साथ वो मैं कहा यार ये सब तो नहीं करना था और मजा भी नहीं आ रहा. And I think something that I learned from the Kota experience was I was really scared. I was like, dude, you're this close to, failing as a person in life. And that shit is scary. So I think with that, I was like, this thing really has to kind of make sense right now. And I tried, but I think the whole essence of so many random things amalgamating, it just wasn't clicking for me. So after a certain amount of time, I was like, ye to nahi chamak raha. What's the other thing? And I think NIFT was one college where all the ratio-based fuck all shit that happens in engineering colleges, where you have 5% women, 95% men, is exactly opposite in NIFT.
Opposite.
Yeah. So I was like, इस पे ध्यान देते हैं. And I think, yeah, it was like that stupid age, so everything seemed fun. So I think, yeah, I was focusing on that space. And तब तक, yeah, I think life was fun. You're like in a class of 40 or like 4 guys. उसमें से half can't talk. You end up being like, king of the hill. So it was fun. I had fun for the first year. And yeah, I think around that time, there was this. So I don't think I have a lot of ego as a person, but then something just stick to you. Like they kind of hurt you a little. I think there was a point in time when I think, I was not very well shaped as a kid. So I think my mom used to make me wear belts here. So all of that shit, ball chop chop here. And I think as I was kind of growing, maturing and everything, I really didn't ever focus on like, working out as a thing. And then I remember someone really commented on my physique once. And it was like a joke amongst guys just standing and saying, but that stuck to me. And I was like, you know what, fuck this shit. I'm going to do something about it. And I think then I started working out. And why is this relevant in this thing is because I think a lot of things that I kind of picked up after this in my career, the source of understanding a concept comes from this space. So I think I started going to the gym, I'm working out day 1, day 2, 1 week, 2 weeks, and then I saw no difference. And I think at that point I was like, why the fuck am I, like the whole world is just chilling out there, they're having parties, they're chilling.
And I'm doing this.
And then I'm just like, I'm just not like feeling it. But somehow I'm just dragging myself to the gym every single day. And I think then there was this one friend of mine who just reminded me of this Kawa and Pani wala story. Like there was a crow who wanted to get water, and then it keeps on putting in the pebbles till the water level comes up. And I think that story kind of was, so the whole point of that was, bro, don't give up, just keep on going. Like, okay. It took me 6 months for a single vein to pop up in my arm. And I was like, fuck, finally something happened about this.
Bhai ka time aa gaya.
Yeah, and I think there's no stopping post that. I think then I just kept on working. And I think it's like a threshold that you have to reach. And post that, everything just keeps on happening really well for yourself. And I think that's what I realized. I think within a span of around 8 months, 1 year, things start showing up. I started feeling better about myself. Like, the whole body started coming in structure. And something that really cracked for me in that space was the value of persistence and rigor. And the whole idea that if you want something, you just keep on putting in the work and you eventually get it. And that is something that I never realized my whole life, like in terms of studies, because I never had the motivation to stick to something for this long. And yeah, I think around this time, I started dating this topper of my class. And just to give you a good academical background, in a class of 40 students, I would be ranking 37 or something. I had like a 5 point something pointer. And I never really cared about it. I was like, I don't get anything they're teaching. And I'm not even that into it. I was paying attention everywhere else. But this person that I was dating, she had very mean friends. And I remember some of them, kind of gathered around her and they said something about, why are you dating this guy? He's gonna bring you down as well. And then I think during one of our heated conversations as kids, she kind of told that to me. And that again like hurt. I was like, you know what? This kind of got to me. So
I'm just visualizing Rockstar right now. That's samosa wala scene.
Yeah.
Asli art.
Yeah. So I think, yeah, it kind of got to me that way. And I was like, you know what? Fuck this shit. Like, let's pick this up and we'll go through with this. And I was like, you know what? We know how this shit works. 6 months, you'll see no difference. Then things will happen for you. You just have to put in the work. So with that belief, I jumped in. I was like, from today on, I'm not going to be the guy, because till now, like I was a friendly guy. Everyone liked having me around, but no one ever thought of me as someone that, oh, this guy's going to be competition. They're like, oh, yeah, fun guy to hang around. Teachers are like, yeah, fun guy and everything. They're nice to me and everything, but academically, I was never someone who they have to be really like, scared of. And then I started working hard, and I think it took me around 6 months of like being attentive in classes, doing my assignments on time, submitting projects, making models. And I think my then partner started realizing, oh fuck, something's changed, this guy's like really putting in the work. And I'm like, okay, 6 months, okay, where's the result? And I think from 5.4 it came to like 5.8 something. I'm like, what the fuck? ये क्या होता है? So I'm like, you know what, कोई बात नहीं, एक और semester effort मारते हैं. So again, the whole grind repeats. I'm waking till late, finishing all my assignments and everything. And that 5.8 went to like 6.2. And at this point, I'm like, dude, like this shit is definitely not working out. Maybe it just is, something applicable to the gym. Doesn't really work. But till that point, I was like, I've invested way too much. And like, if you gotta believe, you gotta believe. You can't half-ass it at this point. So I was like, you know what? Let's push it more. And another semester passed for my, you know, all my classmates to realize that fuck, this dude is a threat.
He's doing something.
Yeah, it took another semester for my teachers to realize that, this guy who used to be just, someone who would fuck around has actually started paying attention in classes, really working hard towards something. And then came a semester where, like we would be on our holidays during the time the results would be announced. And someone dropped a message on the class, this thing saying that, hey, the results got out on WhatsApp. And then I'm like, oh, cool, let's go check it out. I'm like, and se pehle tak, I think I think I reached like 6.9 or 7.1 something. I'm like, ठीक है, चाहिए होगा, वापस से 4% आगे बढ़ेगा.
हाँ, slow growth but हो रही है.
हाँ, I'm like, yeah, ठीक है. And then someone says, fuck, Atul topped the class, 9.84. And इस टाइम में मुझे लग रहा है मार रहे हैं. I'm like, fuck it, मैं खुद check करूँगा. I checked, it actually was 9.84. And then I was like, my dad was sitting next to me. I was like, Dad, what do you think my results came out? कितना आया होगा? He looked at me like इतना confidently पूछा like कि आया होगा 8.1, 8.2 कुछ. I was like, exactly my thoughts. But then like नहीं, 9.84. And I was like, okay. Then someone says, hey, you know what? So NEFT has like 15, 16 centers all over India. And all of them have like FC everywhere. They're like, Atul didn't top the class. Atul topped NEFT all India. And that... No, but I think my partner was supportive throughout. So
yeah, but again, I mean, it was a motivation there, right?
Right. So yeah, I think at that moment somehow things turned completely different for me. I was like, you know what, this fucking concept works. And I don't know if it worked for everyone, but it definitely works for me. And I think I took that as a learning, and it really changed my perspective around, what I wanted to achieve. My parents kind of started realizing that, fuck, there's some potential in him. Like, shayad baith ke khilana na pade. And I think a lot of things have changed after that. But yeah, I think that's how a lot of these things kind of sorted for me. Like, I started understanding myself as a person who works hard. I was not like I started kind of swaying away from the identity that I had believed that I am, was someone who will just never be serious about anything, gonna fuck around and all that stuff. So I think it kind of turned me into this guy. But I wanted the good parts to still keep with me. Like, I wanted to be fun, I wanted to go out, I want to have all the fun things, but I also wanted to keep this space very sacred, which there is no fucking around when it comes to one thing that really brings you joy.
Actually,
and I think design, and design was one thing which I really liked putting in the hard work. There was nothing else that ever made me feel like, I never looked at chemistry and felt like fuck, aaj sab ratta maar ke baith jaunga. Like, it never made me feel that way. But design did. So for me, I think I realized there was something that I found that I actually love doing that also loves me back. And the world is rewarding you for it. So I was like, this is something I'm never gonna, devalue. Like, isko hamesha izzat ke saath rakhne ka. And I think with those values, I kind of had some goals. I was like, you know what? Okay, now that I know I can do this, I made some goals for me. Like, you know what? I want to be the highest paid guy from my college. I want to get a job much before anyone else gets it. And I was able to kind of crack all of those things by the end of my college. I was one of my first official jobs was working at Toppr, and I think that's where I was. But I was a graphic designer at that point in time. So I think I was working in this whole graphic color space, and I had a lot of fun. And I think this was a very uh, amazing time to be in this space because tab tak Indian Janta was not okay about the whole fact that value for money can be intangible. Like, agar मैंने पैसा दिया है, so what I maybe I get is a cup that I can hold. But
Tangible
telling
things,
them,
yeah.
yeah, but telling them that hey, Topper is a digital product for your kids. Pay us money, we'll give you access to an app for something that was not really clicking for them.
This
Like
was in year
2015-16 is what I want you to imagine.
you while you were doing a job, 15,
Yeah.
16.
Yeah, I'm
Damn.
older. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna, I mean, see, I know the secret why you don't look, but work wise also 15, 16, that means that's the same time I also started, right? Like this food.
I
Yeah,
started
I think
working when I was in second year of my college. Like, I got independent around that time. Like, I think jab wo hasil wala scene aaya,
nice.
I was freelancing. I was working with a company part time in US. I was also studying for college. I also started working. So a lot of things were going on parallelly in my
I'll
life.
be honest, I had this understanding that, I mean, I'm not going to ask for your age though, it's bad manners though, but I was understanding that you've been working for the last 3 or 4 years. I was assuming that you started working on the COVID chaos ke ek do saal pehle, 18, 19, right?
Yeah, do that into two and add some more years to that.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Like, I think everything else I expect, this I was really surprised. Yeah, seeing it just, okay, I think I need to stop feeling so old now.
I got a good compliment. So I think around that time, this whole graphic design thing was going on, and this very untangible, how do you turn the mindset around people? And I think I was in the whole graphic design marketing space. It was so much fun doing all of these things. So we came up with these random campaigns like from phone do or padhai karo to phone lo or padhai karo.
Padhai
And
karo.
it was mindset, like it was fun to create those ideas and everything. And that's when I think Malik came into my life, who has been my mentor, Malik Sheikh. And I wanted to imagine, like, someone who's like full bodybuilder type dude, has like a marijuana, this whole earring and everything. And this guy comes to our office and he's just, working with the product manager on something. And I'm like, कौन है पता नहीं, मैं ज़्यादा ही style मार रहे हुए ऐसे judge वज करके I was going on a trip. I left. When I came back, turns out this guy has turned into an employee. And while this guy looks like he can potentially harm you, turns out he's the sweetest fucking dude out there. Like, इतनी प्यार से बात कर रहा है, ये कर रहा है, कर रहा है. And I think we kind of grew closer and closer as friends and everything. And he used to stay in Thane, so there's Bichara dude will travel 45 kilometers every day to just be in office. Like, he would drive on his bike, 9 बजे के stand up के लिए बेचारा 45 kilometers drive करके आ रहा है. And फिर हम ऐसे दुख बांटते बांटते सब करते करते, I was also going through a breakup and stuff. We became close. And at one point he's like, bro, you know what, you should enter product. And I'm like, bro, like I studied design in graphic space for so long. Abhi kya ye wo? But this dude just didn't give up. He's like, tu kar, main sikhaunga. And I was like, theek hai. So Topper as a company was very hardcore in terms of work. So, and again, like when you're out of college and you're trained for 4 years to have sleepless night, because NIFT FC is insane amount of work. You never sleep.
Yeah,
Pura jury after jury, you're just waking up the whole night. So वही rigor के साथ यहाँ पे भी काम चल रहा है. And you're liking it because you're enjoying your work and you're growing at the same time. And for the first time, college यहाँ पे juries and faculties respect नहीं कर रहे, यहाँ पे respect नहीं कर रहे, पैसा नहीं मिल रहा है. Like, fuck, life is good, right? And around this time, this guy, gives me अभी तू सिर्फ designs replicate कर. So I would like wake up at 7 in the morning, brush करके will go to office around 8:30 for the stand up. वहाँ जाके I think पूरा शाम को till 6 or 7 we both will work. 7 के बाद जाके we'll go work out in the gym right below. There was a Gold's below our office in Mumbai. And then he'll go home, I'll come back. I'll go have my dinner and then I'll start product practice. So तब मैं बैठ के I would download these long screenshots of different apps, websites that I like, और फिर उसके ऊपर बैठ के मैं sketch से rectangles बना के, and I'm like, ये calculation कैसे हो रहा है, और रिस्पॉन्सिवनेस भी समझ में नहीं आता कि भाई
Yeah,
हर
yeah.
जगह अलग दिखता है, तो मैं बस को फिगर आउट कर रहा हूँ ये 13 वाला फॉन्ट क्यों यूज किया है, 16 क्यों है, एंड ऑल ऑफ दैट स्टफ.
Malik, Malik is he on social media?
Malik is a product designer.
I mean, he is he on Twitter and Instagram? So I want to
Yeah,
love
yeah,
to
yeah.
link
Oh,
his
dude.
profile here. And also, when you telling me about him, right? Like, I obviously couldn't visualize because I haven't met him. But as you said, na, he asked you to just copy things. Like
Right.
first step, I was like, huh, this is an OG.
Yeah, he's
First
a very
step is
like full. He's a self-run designer himself. He was a DJ, Navy person, had a magazine of his own. Like
oh,
anything that
Navy. Did he serve in
merchant.
Navy?
Yeah, he was trying for
Merchant.
he was indulging into that whole merchant navy space. He was also a hotelier. Got into like this hotel management and stuff. उसने सब कुछ किया. Like you think of profession, उसने कभी ना कभी life में वो किया हुआ है.
Dougal Sara.
Yeah, and the thing is, he learned design in the most organic way. None of these books, nothing would just, he was put in a position where he had to learn it. He learned it through first principles. There is no law that he follows. He just understands them why it's existing. So he kind of gave all of that to me. So I also learned design in the most first principles possible, no laws, nothing. And if I could understand laws, I would have done good in physics, chemistry. I never did. So that was the best I could learn. And I will sit at night, I'll work till like 3, 4 in the morning, I'll have like 4 hours of sleep, I'll go back to the same routine. But it was a rigorous 1 year where it was all about, creating designs, understanding this thing.
Again, same, no, putting the work for a year.
I think I actually believe that even being in this position is very lucky to be, where you know that if you put in the work, you will get results. Like that, I think hard work is one of the most fair things to exist in life because you get exactly what you put in. Like so many other things in life, they don't work that way. Like luck can sometimes play so badly for people that it doesn't happen for them. So
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm gonna sound a bit old here, right? But this dad personality has just been there. But it's that's where I like the karam karo, phal chinta karo wala nahi part. Like you do stuff now, karam कितने टाइम में करना है वो बता के नहीं गया है कोई.
right,
कर्म करो बता के गया है पर 6 महीने करना है साल भर करना है उसको किसी ने नहीं बताया ना so like that depends on person to person based
right,
on your intelligence your like hard work and everything for some people I mean this is how where I feel the variables are very different for some people it can happen in 3 months they get into something do for 3 months they'll get it for some people it can take 3 years and that's why like when you're saying 6 months it might be for you but for anyone else it would be very different
right.
time wise alag alag right but yeah hard work is important that's true like you gotta get on to it if you feel कि हाँ मैं बुक पढ़ लूंगा या एक कोहर्ट या कोर्स कर लूंगा हो जाएगा नहीं उसके बाद मेहनत तो करनी पड़ेगी तुम्हें बैठ के you gotta give those hours
Right. I think that's why I said कि I know that whatever this is, this works for me for sure. ये कुछ लोग के लिए काम नहीं करेगा and some people will start and again I think my fiance that way is a very logical person. She doesn't believe in hard work, she believes in smart work. Like when we both get and try to do something, what I'll do in 2 hours, she'll get done in like 30 minutes. And then she'll look down on me कि क्या चूतिया आदमी है. But that's the thing, like it works for
doesn't matter you do anything she'll still look down on you and get you the आदमी I'm married you know ठीक है
Exactly.
continue करते हैं
Yeah. And I think that's what I realized. Like I'm lucky to be in this position where this shit works for me, so I'm gonna double down on this always. That's the only way I know how things work for me. I don't know. I have very fuck all attention span. I can't read books. I can't listen to audiobooks. None of that shit matters. The only way I learn is by doing. So that is what I'll do with full shiddat. Usme no compromises, no hacks. I'll do it the way it's done, the old school style.
best way that's the best way
And that whole practice continued. Then I think Malik spoke to the product head, pulled me into a project, और वहाँ जाके full मेरी फट गई because I'm like they explained we did one of these very I think game changing products there which was doubts on chat which was like 24/7 you ask a doubt there's a teacher who's answering you so we built that whole product system and everything and I still remember I was standing there the product manager is explaining how this whole thing will work and I'm like bro ये कैसे बनेगा like this because it's easy to create something that has already been created.
correct
But when you have to do a 0 to 1 with no reference of something like this existing, it becomes super scary. And for me, who was starting out with a challenge like this, I was like, bro, मेरा तो like मेरे दिमाग में solve नहीं हो रहा दूर की बात है. And Malik was like, what, calm down, हो जाएगा, मेरे को समझ में आ रहा है, मैं समझाता हूँ कैसे करने होगा. So for like, he shadowed me throughout. I shadowed him throughout. He helped me like get all of that. I still remember because I think as a mentor, the hard work is not just of the mentee; it's also yours. I remember
Correct.
he would sit and redo all my screens while showing me तूने ये गलत किया, ये गलत किया, ये गलत किया. वो बैठ के उसने एक मेरी screen ठीक करी है. For me to understand better, and you feel so guilty because this is not a teacher; it's the friend to friend relationship. So तुम पूरे दिन कितनी बकचोदी करोगे, शाम को you feel bad कि भाई अपना काम भी कर रहा है, मेरा काम भी इसको करना पड़ रहा है. So you
करना
want
पड़
to do
रहा है.
better at it even faster. And I think then karte, I was getting more hold of it, but I was still like, I still haven't gotten it right. And at that point, he went like, oh, Atul, we both were like, maybe we should make a move. It has been a long time. Let's go somewhere. And I was like, bro, मैं छोड़ तो नहीं रहा तेरे को. So he's like, हाँ हाँ कोई
भैया
नहीं.
लेके चलो.
Yeah, so I think then we moved to media.net. And I think वहाँ पे जाके I continued learning from him. And that's when I met Marinia. So we all three started staying together. And I think that was like some of the most beautiful years of my life. I think we stayed in that flat in Rahija in Bombay, and we had the most fun with God every night. I would learn a lot from them. Both of them are extremely talented people. Both of them lead design at Cred now. So I think we somehow maintained this going everywhere together wala thing. And yeah, I think that was
So
the
you
journey.
started alone. You went to this company. You found Malik. Obviously, you became 2 people. Then you joined a new company. You found another 3 people.
Right.
मतलब वो गैंग धीमे धीमे बढ़ता जा रहा है.
I don't think abhi aur badhega. I think we have reached that age where I
It's
don't
tough
think.
to now make more friends. Yeah.
And there's so much history. I think people just realize people hate hanging out with us because 8 saal ka knowledge is always like, it's always there. There's so much context that's required to
इतने
understand.
inside jokes हैं कि हमें like क्या.
Yeah. I think sometimes when we have our girls around, they're just like, क्या पका रहे हैं भाई ये लोग, वो अपना कुछ बात करें. But yeah, I think this is pretty much how the whole design journey happened. And I think post media.net, then I was like, oh yeah, I think we're like, you know what? I think we need to move cities. We don't have a strong design culture in Bombay. I think the community is there in Bangalore. And I think Malik started this whole conversation that we should move. And Varinya was like, man, let's see. And I'm very optimistic as a person. So I was like, yes, we got to move. We'll do that. I started applying. And then Kyofit worked out. And then Malik was like, bro, ho gaya. Then he's like,
And then before we go ahead, I think you should introduce Varnia because people have been hearing that name but don't know who you're talking about.
yeah. So I think Varina is one of the most talented designers I've ever met in my life. Also my flatmate. He's currently leading design at Cred. He's one of the best ICs you'll ever meet. He's previously been with Adobe and a couple of other companies, at Book My Show and much more. You'll not find a digital footprint of this person because he is completely not very social. He rarely makes appearances out there. And I think if you saw Cred Garage, it was one of the projects that he was the lead IC at. So yeah, very talented.
Nice.
Yeah.
Like I met recently Mayank,
Right.
who also worked on the same product, and he was telling me the whole story. Sign, I think we'll try to get Varnia on this podcast and see if it happens. But
The
बोला हाँ,
dude
तो बगल के रूम से.
speaks, amazingly well. It's just that convincing him to speak is very hard. But once you get him there, then he has really great
I
stuff.
mean, he's a Gujarati. I'm a Gujarati. I'll figure out some way.
Oh yeah.
I'll do this in. I'll. I don't want to say this, but I'll gift him some doklas. But yeah. Cool. So then Cure Fit happened, right?
Yeah, and I think that was the biggest scam for me because I was like, okay, bro, ho gaya. And Malik is like, हाँ तू चल हम लोग आते हैं. And I was like, okay, like कैसे like कि बस तू गया 3 महीने में हम आ जाएंगे. I'm like ठीक है. So I moved to Bangalore. And by the way, these guys came after 2 years or 1.5 year because I think they told me like 3 months. Believe that all of us are gonna move to Bangalore. I came in here, started working, and I found some really amazing people at Cult. That time it was Curefit. So I think they made me like it was a new city, a whole new change. So they made me feel, and they made this whole space warm for me. They were very nice to me throughout. And I think 3 months when I was just surfing around Bangalore and understanding things, how's the city, I really liked it. That's when COVID hit. And then I was stuck. So I think that is when I think a lot of random things happened. I think I met my fiance around that time. Then this whole, I think I was very shy of talking in public. Like I couldn't do stage show. Like my parents never pushed me for extempore and all of those things. I never did
They
myself.
were like पास हो जाए बहुत है public
हाँ,
speaking नहीं करा
मेरी
नहीं
principal I was good at it. उसके बाद खराब हुआ. I think it just never was something I was never really passionate about. They never forced either. They were very nice as parents. So I think this was the time where I kind of got out of this thing. I think bid class was something that was like he reached out there, like, can you give a online this, what do you say, like a module of
keynote
fonts and design. No, it was a proper this thing, yeah.
okay course kind of thing.
Yeah, of course. So I think that's when this Discord channel started. It had like it had like 14 people. I would meet them every weekend. And I still remember, I didn't know this, but these guys made me like, do those free sessions as a pitch that if you come here, you'll learn all of this stuff. And I remember I bombed the first session so bad because I'm like, it's all like, sab kuch hil raha hai, kuch bolna nahi aa raha hai, all of that stuff. It was very funny. But I remember, like, like my fiance was always there. She was like, you can do it. And I'm doing it. Like, COVID mein sab kuch sab band hai. So she's helping me understand how to go about this and everything. And she's a data scientist, but she's also like a singer performer. So she has no stage fright. So she's helping me understand how to go about this. So wo sab karke, I think then it took me like 6 to 7 of these classes. And then I got very comfortable. Then I started enjoying it. And I think we had like a 2 month engagement with these kids. But we enjoyed this whole session so much that we're like, bit class खत्म हो गया, कोई बात नहीं, अपन अपने Gmeet पे आगे करेंगे. उसके बाद we extended for 2 more months because I just had so much to tell them about how to design and everything. So I had a lot of fun. And I think that's when what's the foundation for Design Truck was made. This was like a Discord channel with like 7 people. And it was happening. I think around when COVID was ending, that is when I think, I think we are done with the designer journey. I think अब बन चुका है मैं designer. अभी यहाँ पे आ गए.
नहीं but again like the story goes, I mean obviously you became a designer and all that, but I think for detail में I would love to know because like I have met people who studied पढ़ाई करने का job लगती, right? The first thing which they struggle with is that tools wise, like I had a mentee who was from like the Gandhinagar NIFD, and their teacher used like her teacher used to give her assignments to like create a magazine. She knows how to click photos because that she's been taught. She knows how to prop it up and all that thing, but she doesn't know how to use Photoshop.
Okay.
So I used to take extra classes to teach her how to use Photoshop to make that magazine. I was like, this college is teaching fundamentals, everything amazing, but these tools might become an issue when they go out and look for a job because they'll have to learn these things, and this also hampers speed and everything, right? So when you join the first job, which at Toppr, right, as a graphic designer, you still had to learn these tools, right? So like, did you like, were you an intern there or did you join full time first? What was the process there?
I think Toppr was my freelance client during college. So I had a job with the US company, but I was also freelancing with some Indian startups that point in time. So I think they had this. His name was Vinod B. He was the marketing head. And I think in life you sometimes meet these people who are just so amazing. Like, the difference between a manager and a leader. Like a manager delegates work, and a leader is someone who will make you fall in love with their vision so that you make it your own. You fall in love with it and you make something of your own, like a different version altogether of what really came to you, and they give you that feasibility. They don't micromanage. They're like, you know what, my idea becomes yours. Now, how would you interpret it and turn it into something real is up to you. And this guy was so amazing with his words. Like, they just make you... he was just one of the most extraordinary people I've met. And this guy, I think we really liked working together. And then they were like, would you like to join us? And it just felt like... And that whole US thing was like remote for the longest time. You're like, it's not fun to like, work in silos. I think I am a strong believer of learning through osmosis. If you just surround yourself with like great people, you learn so many things, not while working, but even at lunch breaks and stuff. So I wanted to be in that kind of space. So I think that's when me and the person I was dating back then, we both moved to Toppr at that point.
So in a sense, you never move alone. So if I want to join a good company, I can just be your friend and then... I'm thinking that pattern. I was like... become Atul ke friend and you can go to any company because he never moves alone in that way.
Right.
But so you were designing posters. What were you designing for that, like for Toppr at that time? Feel because you were GD graphic design you were doing, right?
Right. So I think we pretty much did everything from social media posts to standees to banners to billboards to even the welcome kit that students used to get. Like, and again, like not like a normal welcome kit. We designed the whole paper layout, how it folds, everything, packaging design. Like
Yeah,
one
students
thing
you have to
that,
make fun also.
yeah. So I think NIFT, one thing it makes you do is we also designed the store.
Correct.
So anything that you can think of that जिस पे तुम graphic design चिपका सकते हो वो चीज सब कर रखी है, like
And I figure out this.
offline, online, screen, physical space, उनके shirt, bottle, सब कुछ.
Have you used Coral Draw?
We were made to do it, but then we realized this is shit because I think Corel Draw was something that all the textile designers were forced to use. It was
They will. Yeah.
but
Coral Draw is very. I mean, print design. If you're doing print design, you'll need to know like Coral Draw because every printer you'll meet will use that. But it's
yeah,
one hell of a bad UX product. Like I hate Adobe products because of their complexity. I
right.
hate Coral Draw because it's simpler, but it doesn't feel like you're using a premium like a paid product. It feels like you're using some Microsoft free product.
Right, dude, they were making us use Flash and Dreamweaver at one point in college, and Adobe stopped support for these two softwares. I'm like, वो नहीं चला रहे, हम क्यों चला रहे हैं? मतलब curriculum अभी दोनों
Yeah, I loved Flash. Like the first games I played were with Flash. Fun to the.
I think fundamentals of motion animation were keyframes and everything. I think they came from that world. So I think that is something I was able to pick up. But yeah, I think college was fun. They just made you dabble in so many things. You know something about everything. And I think then at a job, someone's ready to bet money on that something that you know. They're like, chalo, theek hai. We'll do that. So I think, yeah, at top of me, I think we did anything and everything that's possible. It was very much at the end of that era when I moved into the product side of things. Yeah.
But I think Malik is to be thanked for that. And he had definitely trusted you. Like he had clarity. Okay, I want this guy into product that he was aware of.
I think so. I think we again like he got married recently. So I think we somehow figured out a way that okay now because we can't be flatmates, then you get a house right next to us. So we all stay in the same society.
Yeah, I don't know how his wife is feeling though. But yeah. Yeah, so you went to QFit. But the QFit would be a dream job. Like won't it for you because you had in fitness and you still is, right? So wow. And COVID, when these kind of apps were, I think boomed in that era, right?
I think for me it was like, you know, have you seen that pen, apple, pineapple pen, all that shit? So for me it was like, oh, two things I really love, design and fitness put together. I'm like, this is the space to be. And I think that's how when these guys were said, ki, oh, you know, we'll come later, I was like, maybe I can take this bet because this shit is too good. And I think I realized that, you know, startups is my space. I don't do well in like big orgs. This is which I want to be. And yeah, I think met some really nice people there. I recently met that team again. I think really talented folks, the great product. I was designing their gym fit product, which was all around. I think if you right now they have acquired a lot of gyms, so you can book a gym anywhere around you and go there for workouts, right? So I was designing that product during COVID. This was right before COVID had stuck, and I think we were putting up the boards. I was going to a lot of gyms just to test out the product and everything.
I was gonna say that, right? Like you can go to gym and rate it because you would actually use the product, equipment and know okay this works or not instead of just looking at it.
So again, like I think I was testing out the initial version that was going out with selected gyms around us, and वो board मेरे सामने लग रहा था. I'm like so happy, you know, that whole gym fit, everything going on. And अगले दिन Bangalore got COVID emergency and all of that shit, and all the offline fitness thing got shut down. And that was like a very something that got to me very personally because you know you work on it, you're passionate about it, and that's when I realized that maybe putting two things that you care about a lot together is not the best idea because then it hurts at the same level as well how much you like it, right? So
yeah, and also I mean in this you can take the main learning from this would be you don't no need to connect yourself to your work too much. When you enjoy it, you make it like you become an artist kind of thing, but if you do, you'll also be, if you do, then be ready for the bad part of it. Also, this will happen. Like some things go up, something go down. It will happen. Then you have feel both of things.
I've always felt very different because I think this is something I fight with myself because, like, logically, this makes a lot of sense. Like, don't make your life about the work that you do. And I think I keep telling that to myself just to create that distance between this, because anything too much into each other will create certain amount of toxicity eventually, right? But the thing is, ki, if you wake up every day and you put your most focused hours into something, it is not possible to not be that much into it. Especially if you're not someone who took up a job just to get paid by the end of the month. This is something that you drive pleasure and fun and pain, everything out of. You just cannot make it कि ये मेरे को affect नहीं करेगा, वो possible ही नहीं. So I think it just
But
does.
telling yourself, as you said, like telling yourself will know कि हाँ ये करेगा, but I know कि हाँ next आ जाएंगे. Like there was someone who asked me, right, Rahul, who are you? So I said I'm a designer. He's like, no, who are you? This is what you do. And
Right.
I still haven't found an answer to that question. I still introduce myself as a designer only because क्या ही बताऊँ मैं?
I think this is something someone told me about the difference between Europe and India. Like if you're in India, if you're at a party, the first three sentences that you say about yourself will include what you do and where you do.
Yeah.
But if you do the same thing in Europe, people will say that, hey, yeah, I'm a snowboarder, and this is my name, this is where I stay, and I like doing these rave parties and everything. And it'll be like, yeah, for work, I work as a PM at this place. So you don't identify with what you do there. And I think that's why they say that learn in India, earn in US, settle in UK, or settle in Europe.
Europe. So you joined CureFit, Cult wala hua. How did the Cred thing happen? I think that's the question. मैं इसको डाल दूँ time step में so people can just skip.
Yeah, I think there was this one point in time, I think the whole COVID thing was going, and I think fitness as a thing was somehow turning into online fitness. And I personally didn't enjoy that as an experience because it was very hard to comprehend that, oh, this is a space where I sit and work, and then suddenly I'm supposed to, work out in the same place. And I think physical gyms are much more than just what you do. It's also about an environment. It's like going to a club, right? You are a normal person talking to people. Suddenly you go in a club and you start this. Now, this is not something that you're normal as a person, but that environment makes you do that. I think gyms are similar spaces. When you go into that environment, it's an environment where a lot of people are growing together. Everyone has a different space in their journey, but everyone sees each other and they feel like, fuck, everyone's moving ahead. So you are a part of it. It's like a part of jumping into an ocean with waves. You're moving with that. You cannot recreate that in your house. तुम push up कर रहे हो, साइड में स्लैग बज रहा है, it just cannot work that
तुम
way.
पॉडकास्ट कर रहे हो, चल रहे हो, उस पे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता.
नहीं, ये मैंने कर लिया है होना भी. मैं 3 के स्पीड पे डिजाइन कर सकता है. I've achieved it over like after a year or something. But yeah, I think I kind of didn't like the whole space in which fitness was going into that COVID thing. And I think I got sort of detached during that whole COVID thing. And plus for me, being in person is very important. That's how I bond with people. That's how I, feel I have a sense of belonging when I actually feel that people are around me. And at that point, I think so this whole Heartbeat agency had launched this new morphism while like shot on Dribble. And the whole world started recreating it. Then people started polarizing thoughts that some said, oh, this is good but not feasible. Why are we making this? Other people said, no, it's great. Someone will make it at some point. और जहाँ पे ये दुनिया आपस में लड़ रही है, Cred comes out with an actual fucking product that works with this. And works in a way where when you tap on that fucking UFO thing, it actually, goes stuck in, lights up and all that. Like, people were blown away. And I think for me at that point, I was like, you know what, I'm done creating vanilla shit. I want to do something like this. Like, I just want to create something radical, fun, everything. And I think the more I was understanding myself, I realized this is the guy I am. I like creating random shit just for the fucking sake of it. I don't want everything to have a purpose. No, sometimes
I saw the Coffee Roaster website.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean that shit doesn't exist. वो बस करना था तो कर दियो.
Yeah, I did 5 scrolls and I was like, खत्म कब होगी ये website?
उसमें वही था कि जो आ रहा है डालो ये करो वो करो. And I think that's the kind of things I find I derive fun out of. And I think then I was like, okay, you know what? This is the team I would want to be a part of. So then I spammed them left, right, and center. I think I had some contacts in the industry by then. I was like जो भी जानता है ping this guy. I think भाई को तो मैंने 15 लोगों से अलग अलग जगह पे ping करा था. Someone shared me a screenshot where they're like, hey, did you speak to this guy? And भाई is like, yeah, we're speaking to him, we're speaking to him. Like परेशान कर दिया लोगों ने at one point. And I think yeah, then finally I got on a call with Bhai, and it was the first conversation I had with him. It went for 45 minutes, and every single thing that this person said was like, bro, like I could turn it into a series of tweets. Every single thing that he said, like everything was like bang bang impact. I was like, and for me, I think I had some bad experiences around people who were managers or leads. I could never look up to them. But this guy felt like fuck, like इसका अगर मैं लाइफ में 1% भी बन गया तो कुछ तो मस्त बन जाऊंगा. So I think I wanted to be with this guy. I wanted to work with this guy. And then after that, I think it was during COVID itself. I had around 5 calls with 5 different team members of Cred, and none of them were about design and work. It was all, everything about everything else in life. I had so much fun. I used to look up to this slot that I know they would call me around 8 to 8:30. I'll just sit and chill and I talk to them about everything in life. And then we all liked each other, so they're like, okay, that works. And yeah, I think then I was visiting my family back then. I went back to Bangalore. I met them, and I think Mayank was the first person I met. I still remember where I took my hand out to shake hand and he just hugged me. I was like,
Ah,
yes, sir.
yes, sir,
And
yeah.
I think, and I think that's what this team was all about. 3 fucking years, and till now, we meet, we hug. We know we see each other every single day, but we always hug. And I think I don't know how Bhai has done this. We are a team of around 50 people, but like not only the most talented designers I've ever seen in my life put into one space, but also the best humans. Like everyone is just so fucking special in their own way. I think I stopped looking at dribble after that because I would just turn around, look at my screen. यहाँ पे VFX में कोई मचा रहा है, illustration में कोई मचा रहा है, motion में कोई मचा रहा है. Like every single person in the room is better than me at something, and that tells you that you're in such a perfect fucking room because this is where you will grow.
I love how your story changes, right? Like starting from being being a mentee to now being mentors. I mean, you've been in Cred for 3 years, correct?
Right.
And I'm gonna assume you have mentored people there who are doing crazy thing now.
I think Cred as a place requires very less of mentoring. I think I would say like I've had the privilege of working with some sharpest and the most creative minds out there. They're just maybe younger than me, but there are people like Vittal. Like you can't mentor that guy, dude. That dude is so much better at everything that you can imagine. He's a visual artist. Like one of the craziest things that I've made with him, that bit blast, that whole gaming machine inside a fucking phone, how it works, everything. Like that dude's a talent. So I think you just have privilege of working with such amazing minds at an early stage in their career, and you impart whatever you think you can because you just have been there longer. It's like yeah. I mean, you just were born a bit earlier. You entered the space a bit earlier, so you have something to share with them. But these guys
Correct.
are just these guys are like stars who are gonna fucking shine brighter no matter what. So I think Cyan is another one. Super hardworking guy. Like this guy is gonna like the kind of hustle this person holds at this age and being a Gen Z is insane. Like where people are looking for, what I don't want to like push myself, work life culture, all of that shit. This guy is ready to go beyond anything to go for it. Like there's just these people that I got a chance to work closely with, and I tried to help them the best I could. But I think they themselves were so amazing that I think the privilege was of mine to just be around them.
Yeah, yeah. I think most of the thing I want to know, I know. Let's talk about design drug. I think that's a good way to close this podcast because I want people to know about design drug and if possible get into that community.
Right. I think design drug is something that I felt was missing for me, or something that I really had. Uh, I think for me, I remember that this transition for me would not have happened any way other way if it was not for Malik. But not everyone can have a Malik placed in the right time in their life. So I think design drug, the essence of it is to have that kind of community that kind of pushes each other to kind of grow further. And while it's always going to be something that I have on the side, so I don't have my complete attention, but there are other people who are so helpful. Like they go above and beyond to help someone else who needs help. Like it could be about the most naive things. Where do I find icons? Like when you start off, that's what your doubts are. Where do I find illustration? Where do I find icons? As you move ahead, then you're like, oh, my PM is forcing me to do this. I don't feel like, what do I do about it? Like,
How do I
that's how.
communicate another?
So as you keep on moving in this journey, you have doubts which are, growing at different paces, and all of it, the difficulty level increases. You start talking about how I want to change a font in my company. It's too long now. How do I do it? How do I manage stakeholders? How do I communicate better? Like, the spectrum of these questions are insane. So I think when you put so many aspirants who are in their own journeys together in a community like that, someone will have an answer for that because they've done it in the past. And I think that was the whole idea, to like bring together these people together who want to help out each other. And I think we have been doing a great job. I think there are people who have joined. We tried making a lot of constructs like build 1.0, 2.0, all of that stuff. And it's such amazing experience, like, hear back from them saying that, oh, my job lag gayi, my internship lag gayi. And you feel like in this world where, either people are trying to gatekeep or everyone's trying to optimize for themselves, there are these, so many people who are coming together, and they are able to help each other out or bring each other up towards it, motivate them to enter the space, because the world could use a lot of smart designers. So I think
I mean,
this is something.
you brought so many Malik Bhai like in one space, no? Like they can just now learn about this, go about this, and just ask everyone what their doubt is. They don't have to depend on one person. First thing, secondary, they obviously get to learn from this amazing people. What's the like loss there?
Yeah, I think Rahul said this one thing to me, that he said people are innately nice. You just have to create a space that they feel secure, that they can be nice in.
They can
Because
be
the
nice.
whole world is like, out for blood. It's like everyone's gonna fuck each other over to get somewhere. But I think the idea of design talk is to have that space. कि यहाँ पे आके ना, just be selfless, just help out each other, create things together, be a team and everything. And I think so far, with whatever amount of time we could focus on this, we have done a decently well job. And the idea is to do it further. Like, we'll never compete with, a 10K or a design board or any of those, because वो हाथी लोग हैं. Like, they eat, drink, sleep, that stuff. We cannot do that. अपन चीटियाँ हैं, थप्पड़ मारेंगे मर जाएंगे. This is just to be an accessory to every designer out there. कि अपनी
but,
life में थोड़ा सा integrate.
You need, right? So if you need establishments, you need NTS establishments, right? That's how it works, right? If you need colleges, you also need small this community led or like this kind of things, right? So both are, I think, important in the space. And I mean, I'm self-taught, so I'm a huge fan of where you can learn by yourself with people, right? And again, when we say self-taught, no one is self-taught. Like they always had someone who helped them out. There was no structure. Like for example, for you, Malik was there. For me, there was a Mayank, Keshav. There are so many people who have taught me throughout this journey, right? So that's why I feel this kind of space is very much important right now. And also, when you look at senior designers, right, in the space, young designers feel very like intimidated to message them or talk to them, because they feel like, okay, they might not respond, they might be busy and all that. But when you're in a group like this, in 100, 200 people, you see them reply to multiple chats. It also builds your like confidence. Okay, I can ask this person this question because he or she replies to this kind of questions daily. I see, right? So it also becomes easier. It opens up that part too.
Yeah, I think somehow, I think again, I think even for design talk, I think I remember. So it had those 7, 8 people in that whole Discord channel, and I was creating my personal website back then. And I put like 5 blocks और एक block का space missing था. So I was like कि इसमें क्या डालूं, क्योंकि balance तो करना है. So I was like कि ठीक है, Discord का डाल देता हूँ. I just put one small box there, and फिर I published it. फिर suddenly ऐसे my Discord went mad, like ping ping ping, like people started entering through that web, and this was one of the 6 sections के अंदर का 6th कार्ड जिसके अंदर लोग टैप करके डिस्कॉर्ड कम्युनिटी ज्वाइन कर रहे थे.
But bro, like your website, I mean, I think one of the best website launches which happened in recent years. People still, I mean, Som did a video on the 7 portfolios. You were there in that top portfolios, right? So it's like the portfolio again, that work is different altogether. I still have to make a portfolio like that, but yeah, maybe soon, maybe in 20, 30 years, but yeah.
I think that was also a whole different thing. It's like every time I think of creating something is because when I know that I'm gonna look out. And with Cred being there, I'm like, I don't feel that thing's gonna happen anytime soon. So what if you had to make a portfolio where you were like, oh, I don't even need a job from you. Fuck you. This is just about, I won't be flamboyant, so I'm just gonna be that guy. And I think that's how I decided the most truest form of what I felt represented me. And I'm glad it got. First, I thought people are gonna be like, what kind of stupid shit is this? Like, this is not like, why are you talking about anything else apart from design? Then I was like, this is my personal website. This is not my portfolio. Okay, guys, मेरे को जो करना है मैं करेगा. I'm more than a designer. This is all about me.
Thank you, Atul, for coming on the podcast. And if you have any advice, drop it. Right now would be a good time.
Great advice. Yeah, I think something that I come across a lot is people who are struggling where they're working and they're trying to figure out, like, what can be, like, maybe there is one person who's becoming a pain and they're trying to, like, solve those situations and stuff. But I would say, like, you can solve situations, you cannot solve people. So once you realize it's not a situational thing, it's a person problem. And if you can't change it, then you change it. And with that, I think, yeah. So if you can't change it, then change it.
Thank you, Atul. Thank you for coming. Thank you for giving us this time, and thank you everyone who has been watching it for this long time. Thank you so much. Thank you again. Milte next Monday.